Welcome to Game & Grains, the whiskey gaming channel. I'm your Player One Richard, and I just got another bottle of Crittenden's Cut Above. Need I say more? Probably not, but am I gonna? Heck yeah, I am. So grab those controllers, pour yourself a dram, and let's get into it. If you're a longtime subscriber of the channel, then you know that I am a huge fan of Crittenden's Cut Above. And if you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can catch more amazing videos just like this one. Now, Matt, the owner and master distiller, is an absolute genius when it comes to making and finishing his own whiskeys. And as you can tell by my collection, he's finished quite a few. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because in this year alone, he's already either released or is about to release several new finished whiskeys, including blueberry wine cask, a maple syrup cask, and a blackberry mead cask. Now, when I was at Spillway Wine and Spirits in Jackson, Mississippi, I came across this bottle. Now, this is a store pick that they made just for Spillway. With the help of the Mississippi Sippers. Now, this is the Crittenden's Cut Above bourbon finished in single malt Scotch whiskey casks. Now, specifically, Laphroaig Scotch whiskey cask. Now, on the back, what I love about his store picks is that he has a little graphic that gives you all of the information about the bottle, including when it was originally barreled, secondary barrel, if there is one, the mash bill, and the bottling. So this has the traditional Crittenden's bourbon mash bill of 72% corn, 17% rye, and 11% malted barley. The first barreling took place of January 30th of 2020. And then was rebarreled in July 2nd of 2024. So slightly more than 4 years in that original barrel. It was then bottled in March of 2025. So it had a little bit of time in that secondary barrel, just around, I think, 9 months. And that secondary barrel, as I mentioned before, is that Laphroaig Scotch whiskey. Now, I am not a big Scotch person. That is something that I am slowly kind of dipping my toe in. I do love the Scotches that I've had before. So this is actually a great segue. Bourbon finished in a Scotch cask. I got to try this in store. I was kind of in a hurry, but I enjoyed what I tried. So we're going to get on it today. And I'm going to let you know that if you just so happen to be at Spillway, you need to pick up this bottle. Now, I've already went ahead and cut the wax. As you can tell, many of these have different waxes on them. I actually found a tool. I must have put it somewhere else. Oh, here it is. It is, if you are a wine drinker, sometimes they have these little knives on the thing themselves to cut the plastic around the neck. This works great for wax if you don't have some sort of other tool. But I went ahead and removed the wax or cut it. Let's get a cork pop. It was okay. All right, and into the Glen we go. All right. So we're going to set this guy off to the side over here. And let's get in on the nose. So right away, it leads with that peated Scotch nose with the subtle sweetness of that bourbon that is behind. If you're not familiar with a Scotch whiskey, usually they will take peat, which I believe is just like, lack of a better word, like just decayed, compressed earth. They will use that to smoke their barley, and it will give it that smoky note. Scotch tends to be a little bit sweeter, in my opinion, you tend to get more fruitier notes. The whiskey itself, it tends to be a little bit lighter because of the climate that is over there in Scotland versus here in the US. So let's get in on the taste. Cheers. So as I was going up for the sip, I got a lot more of that smoke in my nose. I'm sure as you can tell by my face, I absolutely love that. The smokiness is definitely there. Not as fruity as what you would get with a Scotch, but all of those sweet notes that you would get from a Crittenden's. If you've ever had a Crittenden's bourbon before, they, in my opinion, tend be a little bit sweeter. So just that sweetness that is underlying that smoke, it blends so well together. Just a phenomenal pour. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I believe this is at 116 proof. In my non-professional opinion, it does not drink at 116. Just first take, just amazing. I know that I'm missing some notes, so we're going to go in for another sip. Cheers. So on the second sip, not as smoky. I do get some earthy notes, which would make sense because peat is going to be just that compacted, almost like decayed earth. And then it's a lot more sweet forward on that flavor. So lots of caramel on there, some vanilla that is there, but this is great. So if you're interested in trying to get into Scotch, but you are a big bourbon fan, if you can't find a good American single malt and you just happen to be out at Spillway, this one is one to definitely try to get a hold of. Now, I got a little bit more left in the Glen. Why not try a little bit more? Just the smoky notes that are there on it. I can tell that this bottle is probably going to get real low real quick. Now, I will say on the finish, it is a little bit more drying on the palate. I've noticed that secondary finishes or older aged whiskeys tend to dry out the center of my tongue, more mid-palate. And I am getting a little bit of that there. As I'm starting to talk a little bit more, I am getting a little bit of that smoky note lingering on my tongue with just a slight hint of sweetness. But man, is this one good. When I was there, they had just a handful left. So hopefully, if you get a chance, like I said, to go to Jackson, Mississippi and pick up this bottle, definitely do so. Now, hopefully by the time this video comes out, the big bash at Spillway should be like right around the corner, if not having already happened. I've seen on social media from another group that there's supposed to be a hazmat Crittenden's that is going to be dropped at the Spillway event. I cannot confirm that, and I will unfortunately not be there. But if you're into hazmat whiskey, I guarantee you that a Crittenden's hazmat is probably going to just knock your socks off. So, and if you're a viewer and happen to be down there and want to help me get a bottle, reach out via the comments and maybe we can work something out. All right, guys, I certainly appreciate you sticking until the end. What are your thoughts on Crittenden's Cut Above having a Scotch finished bourbon? Leave those thoughts down in the comments below. As I mentioned before, if you're not a subscriber already, why not? What are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and really just to help grow the channel, make sure that you like this video. All right, I'm your favorite player one, Richard. Have a good one.